kind of decisions are we making? What kind of stories are we telling to ourselves? Where we, that endowment, and a good portion of that endowment we know does not come from us. But yet we have all this capability, all this capacity to spend, to transact. And I said, geez, if we could only, double what we spend out of all the money that, we're buying hair care products, clothes, and stuff. What if we could enhance, significantly increase that giving, redirect that to our institutions? And I thought, well, these figures represent visually how small, almost insignificant these figures are in the bigger picture. And we're just talking about our community. And then I thought, well, what if you take, a third of that, which some economists estimate is the money that's not counted, the plus side to the GDP that's always published. What if, so it's one thing to say, what if we increase, what we spend in relationship to what we, what if we increase our investment in relationship to what we spend? What if we increased our investment in relationship to the spending we don't even count? And so these are, this is me in Google mode, just thinking, turn the question around, and do we have new possibilities as a result of that? So, in terms of ranking this endowment, here's our 105 HBCUs, 1.6 billion. Here's an organization we all either love to hate or hate to love, or just love. University of Phoenix. It doesn't have an endowment, it has a market cap because it's a private entity. It's owned by the Apollo Group. They closed at about $55 a share yesterday. Revenue, just under $4 billion, 21,000 employees. And so their market cap, I'm equating to an endowment. Harvard, $26 billion. So this kind of shakes up what markets mean for me. Now, University of Phoenix, a couple stats because I want to address them. Largest student body in North America. You talk about taking learning out of the academy. Well, they've taken offshore. 40 states, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Canada, Mexico, Chile, the Netherlands. They're ranked 25th in the world for online degree programs by an organization that ranks them. So, what's interesting is their current enrollment, because from that I was able to extrapolate some interesting figures that are relevant to those of us in this room. They have a total of 420,000 plus registered users, or registered students. 78,000 of those are graduate students. 250,000 full-time equivalent students, so carrying 12 credit hours per semester. 250,000. It's larger than some cities. And they were the top recipient of student financial aid. In 2008, they took $2.48 billion of our tax paid. One institution got money from the government that is 50% in excess of all of our institutions combined. There's 105 of them. So there are some things that we're going to have to look at. That $4 billion factored by the total number of full-time equivalent students that they have represents an average intake of $17,646 per student. That's not a bad, price per pupil to have, especially considering you don't have the overhead of a large physical plant. You don't have to maintain research facilities. You don't have to, write grants. You have no full-time or tenured professors. You don't have the insurance costs or the health care costs. So that $17,000 they make, they squeeze more profit out of $17,600 per student than Spelman does at the 28 or so that they're charging. I mean, the differences are astronomical. So, according to their published information, African Americans make up 15% of the university's faculty, 25% of the student population. Well, that would put their black student enrollment at 56,000. One institution, which would give them an intake of $992 million per year, every year, just off of the black students that they service.
And UNCF member institutions collectively are 60,000 students.
So, I don't have the numbers, but the impression that I have is that a large portion of this black student enrollment are students that have left the university. Some have left your universities, and now they are filling the coffers of the University of Phoenix. It might be payback. Okay, some other market things to consider: franchise opportunities. Duke University got $310 million from the government of Singapore to establish a medical school there. Duke was handed the whole funds. They managed the budget, they hired, they granted degrees. Singapore, as a result, has also attracted Cornell, MIT, U Chicago, Stanford, and Johns Hopkins. French Business School, UNCF. I always see these guys in the back of the economists. They opened up a standalone campus in Singapore in 2000. Last year, they took in $18 million in extra revenue for servicing 300 full-time MBA candidates. That's duplication of resources in the most profound way. You don't have to create anything new. You just simply franchise the opportunity. Right? So, that's a look at the market. Now I want to look at costs. So, sure.
Of those new campuses in Singapore and outside the United States, is a large percentage of their classes online, or how do you do it?
Combination of those. Most of them are physical plants. So they're actually building infrastructure. For them, they have an incentive. Now, Singapore is a little bit different, but if you go to the United Arab Emirates, they understand that the clock is ticking on fossil fuels. So they're trying to rapidly create a knowledge base amongst their societies. Well, alongside that, they're also trying to address physical improvements. So they're building roads. I mean, they have a high motivation for building the brick and mortar institution. They're going to build it green, it's going to be efficient, but they need to do that as part of the job, creation initiative. Interestingly enough, the initiative that's going on in Africa, and I forget the acronym right now, they're focusing more on the distance learning aspect, and that's primarily because the influences on their systems are almost always going to come out of London. And the largest institution that provides online learning is the Open University out of the UK. So they actually make University of Phoenix look small. And